We're live?
We're going live.
I see live.
Okay, we're live. Wait. I gotta check.
Not on the page yet. There it goes.
Okay.
Hello, folks. It's the Podsquad with Wendy Card, Randy Foster. Hopefully Peggy Barnes is going to be here in a minute, and yours truly, Colleen Roberts. We want to thank you for joining us. Today is June 4th in the year 2020, and this is episode 144.
We're connecting you with the community and people and places in Newburgh, and wait for it, and beyond.
No, that's good. Join in the conversation. Let us know if you have any comments or announcements by commenting on our Facebook page. So
we have been known to give away stuff to people who take the time to comment or ask questions or that kind of thing. So I got to start out, and there's Peggy coming online right now. It's going to be great to have her, but we have not seen this stranger, Randy Foster, in so long. He's like diagonally down there for me. So what's going on, stranger?
Oh, well, gosh. I have a day job in which I do technical copy editing, and that's been taking up a lot of my time. Fortunate to already have a day job, fortunate to work from home anyway, but as having been a newsman for 20, 30 years, it's really hard sitting talking about routers and things like that when I really want to be out covering the local news that's going on. Three major lifetime event stories going on at the same time with the pandemic and with the Black Lives Matters movement, and so I plink away a bit at it as I can with my website newburghpost.com, and but it's a very strange times that we are living in, and I don't think that I can find any parallel in my 60 years that come close to what we're experiencing in the world right now. That's what's going on with me.
I bet that was a lot of transition from getting out a lot and telling stories to now this technical staying at home. I bet that was quite a transition for you.
Yeah, it was. Every now and then I get to do a little bit of the kind of stuff I used to do. Like, for example, the Partners in Education luncheon was today, and I got to interview and write a story about the keynote speaker, who is a very dynamic individual, the National Superintendent of the Year, based in a school district that's about a little bit larger than Craven County Schools. But you could go to the Partners in Education Facebook page or website to catch his keynote address. It's free this year. It's paid for by sponsors. Normally, it's a big thing at the convention center, and they serve lunch. It's one of the go-to events of the year for Newburgh. Of course, it's hard to do that kind of thing with social distancing. So this year it was virtually held, and so the keynote address was recorded in advance and then delivered online, so people could dial in starting at noon and watch it presented live, or they can go anytime after that and see it. But he has some interesting and very relevant ideas about school districts now, both in just the normal kinds of challenges that face, but also moving forward because of the technology that we've had to deploy because of the coronavirus pandemic. So again, go to the Craven County Schools Partners in Education, or PI, Facebook page or website at Craven County Schools, and for the link to that virtual luncheon. And before you do, make sure you grab something to eat, because it is a virtual luncheon, and you should eat something while you're having lunch, listening to him speak.
there you go. And
Oh.
and we have Peggy. Hey, Peggy.
Hey,
Hi, sorry.
No need to apologize. And we have somebody. It says there's a listener, a phone listener. I don't know who that is, so I'm
That's me.
That's you?
I'm on by phone.
Well,
Oh,
I allowed you in, so there's another attendee that's not allowed in. I'm just gonna see, just in case
Oh,
it's
that's
somebody
me.
That's
else.
me.
No, that's you.
That's
That's
me.
me. Mhm.
Wow, that's our first time, so how do I
Well,
move you from the,
my
Well, my
computer does not,
computer
my
does not.
Wi-Fi does not connect well
My Wi-Fi
voice-wise,
does
so
not
I tend
connect
to look
well.
like I'm walking in water.
oh, how do I,
You're
you
doing
need to
both.
mute the phone.
Mute the computer.
there, okay.
Yeah, whichever
Okay.
one she wants.
Okay, I'm no longer on there, so hold on. Can you hear me
No,
now?
we can
Yeah.
hear you. We can
Okay,
hear you, yeah.
You cut my phone connection off, so I will try to do it by this. So if I look like I'm wonky, let me know and I'll call back in.
I'm sorry, I've never
That's
had
all
a
right.
video
That's
and a
okay.
phone.
It should have been seamless, but for some reason it wasn't. So it made me another user. I have not been on a Zoom yet, and I've been on at least 75,000 since March. That I haven't had an issue of some sort.
Wow.
Well, you
Wow.
sound and look great, so
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm getting good at the top half. Make the top half look good and you're good.
Then you can be in pajamas the rest of
That's
it.
right. That's right.
So how are you? What's going on?
All is well. Just kind of piggybacking on what Randy was saying, just kind of trying to take in all this stuff in the world and, managing my mind and everything in the process. There's just a lot to take in.
You work in a field where you can be of tremendous help to people at times like this.
Indeed. Indeed. And, it's coaching other people through it and coaching myself through it and, kind of working our way through what's really not new, but new, in a new way. So that's what I do. And that's what we all need to do, is figure out what all this means and what we mean in the middle of it.
And how to begin moving forward and healing. It's certainly not gonna happen overnight. It's going to be a process, a multi-layered, multi-step process. But yeah, it's Randy was saying earlier, it's a time he has not been able to compare to in any other time in his life. And, I couldn't agree more. It is a very, very different time for us.
yeah,
Well, and I would agree. And I think conversation and understanding is going to be one of the keys. I've had a couple of conversations that, it's a tightrope. It's a tightrope for everybody about how to say it best and how to say it the right way. Even when you're trying to say it the right way, somebody jumps on it and says, well, that's not what you should be saying right now. This is what you should be saying. So I think it's a matter of the heart. Like, it's a heart issue. And if you're really saying things from your heart, don't let the rhetoric get in the way, but just speak what's coming out of your truth and what you're understanding. And it will end up making an effect some way, somehow. But we just can't keep, not saying what needs to be said and not having hard conversations. And everybody says that change needs to happen, but we need to understand what that looks like. And it's hard to change people's hearts unless you've got, some introspective stuff going on.
that's so true, Peggy. The Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, General David Goldfein, yesterday he was with was it Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force? Randy, is that what it is? Chief Master
Yeah, I
Sergeant?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they were both having a conversation online, and the biggest takeaway, he said, surround yourself with people who fill in your blind spots. And that really, it hit home for me because, I mean, I look at you guys, I mean, sure, we're all the same, race, but we all have different perspectives, and we just need to be more open-minded as far as if I don't think about something, then somebody else fills in, their perspective, and that's how we learn from each other. And it doesn't matter what color you are. We just need to be kind and listen to each other instead of somebody speaking and you're automatically trying to think of what to say. Really listen, and you really nailed it, Peggy. So.
Wendy, hearing that come from you, that I don't know anybody in the world who lives that mantra more than you do.
Amen.
And it's hard to do that, to kind of fill in your gaps, because it takes you from your comfort zone. We all kind of live in a comfortable place. We think we have a handle on it. And when we get exposed to things that we didn't know, I don't know about you, but suddenly I realized I'm not as smart as I thought I was. And, that's kind of a sobering thing. As a journalist, that happens to you every day you do a story. You get exposed to things that you didn't know before, and that's the point of being a journalist. But as we get exposed to these things, we start. I don't know about you, but I start driving around the town and looking at it through different eyes, and start coming to realize, well, I didn't notice that before, and I didn't know it represented that before, and it's. I think, that we could really come out of this as a better people and as a better country if we just stop and pause and listen and try to respect human rights, recognize that we have not been doing it the right way as a nation, and haven't been doing it ever really as a nation. And now is a good time to start doing it right. The first, you have to recognize it.
Yeah, I mean, just go. Every time I go out, I have my eyes wide open, trying to learn something new. And if we all kind of took that approach, not saying that I don't know. I know a lot about a lot of little things, but just learning about people every day, from strangers in the gas station to just saying hi and wanting to know instead of the false. Anyway, I'm not going there, but
Everybody's got a beautiful story to share. Everybody
Yes.
has a story, and we would stop and just, because stories help us to connect to understanding, and if we would stop and listen to the stories, we would understand more. Because a lot of times when you start hearing someone's story, you understand why they act a certain way, or why they say certain things, or why they believe certain things. And we are not designed to be all the same. We're just not. It would be a horrifically boring, horrific world if we were all like me, it would just be horrible. I can't imagine. We would all be running around crazy if we were all like me. And that's not, I need people in my life that balance me out different ways. And so we've just got to accept one another for, it's just who we are.
I thought it was great, Peggy, that you started with speaking your truth and speak from your heart, and ignore the rhetoric, and let's talk about our feelings. And then from there we went to listening, and I think that is such an essential part of moving forward. You're right, we all have beautiful stories to tell. Even if they're not beautiful stories, they're stories that we learned from and that we grew from. But unfortunately, I do think there's a lot of talking out there that isn't moving us in a good direction. But I do think listening is such a key. Listening to all the voices that make us one of the greatest countries in the world. We have people of every shape, size, and color in this country, and we should be listening to all of them and being accepting of all of them. We all have varied backgrounds. It doesn't, make us a good or a bad person, but listen to those stories, grow and learn, and I believe that'll move us in a positive direction.
I think we're all maybe boomers or around boomers sitting on the screen right now, except for, well, I am. And
I am.
I think that
Gen X.
I think these rising generations are the ones that are going to pull us forward. And what I'm fearing is that because of the rioters, and let's not confuse the rioters from the demonstrators and the protesters. They're two different things. But the conversation is switching from the protests to the riots. And I fear that the points that are being brought up by the protesters are going to be lost with the rhetoric against the rioters. Or the conversations that are being brought up by the protesters are going to be lost by rhetoric pointed at the rioters. And that's really unfortunate because, well, I don't know if you watched the protest over the weekend in Newburgh. Yeah, I mean, I got teary-eyed hearing some of the things that were said. I was listening to some world-class thinkers and speakers and ideas right from our very own town. It was a peaceful protest. There were Newburgh police there who were there to protect them, not to fight with them, not to abuse them. They were there to protect them. And there was no tear gas. There was nothing thrown. There was a symbolic demonstration of them lying in the street to symbolize the issues that we're facing right now. But there were speeches that were given and then it dispersed. I don't know much about the one that was supposed to be last night or the night before last, but I haven't seen much on it. But I'm guessing that it didn't turn out violently either because I haven't heard anything about it. That's the kind of people we have in our town. And those kinds of things are happening across the country right now and around the world. Those are the things we need to focus on. And I hope that we come out of this by focusing on those things.
Yeah, me too. We have some hellos from David Olk on social media. Randy Torin has said hello, and Susan Tomasell says hi from Washington, D.C.
Hey, Randy, this is Randy. Oh, by the way, everybody, Wendy and Colleen and Peggy, Sarah, my wife says hi.
Hi, Sarah.
She's ducked her head in and ducked her head out. We're both on deadline with projects, and I'm breaking away from that for an hour or so to be online with you guys. I'm not normally part of your show for regular watchers, but I do check in, I think, once every 2 years. It's about my,
You were with us on, I think, October 20-something, 2017, right after when you started the Newburgh
all right, I'm a little
Post.
early.
So, but I have a comment here from James Sawyer. It says, I believe the protesters will win out over the rioters. They are being exposed for what they are doing. I'm not going to get into political. If you want to read that, please go on Facebook. But James, thank you for sharing your thoughts. We just don't want to get into any kind of political banter on this show. That's not what we are about. But thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. We respect it. So,
Wendy, your voice has gotten soft and kind of muffled.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's like a little bit of static or something in the background of it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, about the same. I think your signal is degraded a little bit.
Are you on a lav
Are
mic?
you on Wi-Fi? I'm on a landline. So
But what are you talking through?
Microphone. Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that is better. It
Oh.
sounded like when I walk and it's my microphone is rubbing against my clothes, so I'm always
It did.
adjusting it. Yeah,
Yep.
that's why I asked.
That was a good description.
Yeah, I should be using this one.
Yeah.
That looks more familiar.
Yeah. Boy, I miss seeing you guys in person, but we'll get there one day. So.
That's right, we will. I hate to complain about it already, but it's humid outside today.
I am so sad.
Yeah, me too.
So sad. I do not love the hot. Everybody's so ready to go to the beach, and I'm like, give me my 70s, my 60s and 70s.
Or like getting up in the morning when I see Peggy sometimes, I'm walking the dog, you know, it's been like in the 50s or whatever in the morning, and that is so
Right.
nice. And it was 75 when we went out this morning. I was like, it's already feels thick outside, you know?
Sticky.
It does. But maybe the rain coming through this weekend, Friday and Saturday. I hate that it's on the weekend, but you know, maybe we'll get some reprieve. But I really felt the humidity and its impact this morning because I was outside for several hours. We were flying the city drone. So
Really?
yes. So stay tuned for that. It was a lot of fun. It's going to be a kind of a before and after. So we went and filmed a project going on in the city right now, and we will come back when it's all done and film it again.
How fun.
So
Oh.
no copperheads this time, Colleen?
No copperheads this time. Yeah, no snakes. We were exploring what we thought was a beaver dam that was preventing some stormwater flow over off of Oaks Road, and we were walking back to into the brush where we were gonna set up the drone and try to fly up the creek a little bit, and there was a public works employee in front of me, you know, with a machete, just kind of, you know, making noise. So they would all go on their merry way. And so he was in front, I was in the middle, and one of our other drone pilots was behind me carrying the drone. And all of a sudden, we heard something slither
Uh-oh.
further into the brush right off of where we were walking, and the drone pilot in the back said, "Colleen, it was right next to your feet."
Wow.
So I said, that drone won't be the only thing you're carrying if we see another snake back here. So yeah, I've had enough of those. But anyway.
I was thinking about you the other day. I went to Marietta Park. I haven't been there in a while. Wow, there's a lot of activity. I don't mean crowds, but people social distancing.
We can't really, your microphone again sounds kind of, maybe it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I think I was stepping on it. I went to Marietta Park the other day, and they had people were stand-up paddleboarding and kayaking and fishing and biking and walking. It's a wonderful park, and it's just in the early stages. But I mean, they were being socially distant and just enjoying the great outdoors. And I also discovered Cowpens Landing. Have you guys ever been there?
Haven't been there, but know where it is.
It's if you don't know where it is, it's up off of if you take 43 out to Weyerhaeuser is on the right, and you make a left on River Road. You just go down 3 miles, and it's on the left, and they have a boat ramp and a fishing pier and a little sandy spot. It's gorgeous, and it's only 8 miles from my house, so. There's so many different opportunities to get out. I know it's hot, but just put a little handkerchief around your neck to cool your carotid down and explore the great outdoors. So it may lift your spirits.
If you drive in and park at Martin Marietta Park, and then you walk in, the structure's on the right. It's a restroom facility, and just beyond that is the first shelter that's going up. So if you want to have a picnic or just want to enjoy some shade or whatever, but it's been really fun watching that kind of first set of construction, other than some of the piers and things we've been working on, to see that come to life. And Public Works has just they're making progress fast out there. But so we'll have a restroom facility and a pretty large shelter. out there to begin with, right off the bat. That'll be nice. Two very necessary things.
So for those that might not know where Martin Marietta Park is, can we tell them?
Yes, it is off of South Glen Burnie
It's
Road.
somebody I might know, asking for a friend.
Okay. Right across from the NCDOT engineering office, not quite to the Glen Burnie Road and Oaks Road intersection. So if you're
Okay.
headed towards Hatteras, it's on the left-hand side before you get to the Oaks Road intersection. And
Gotcha.
there's a small sign out there.
Okay.
So if you remember
That-
where the quarry was, right in there, there's a small driveway and you can go in there. There's plenty of parking, and lots of work going on. So
That place is going to, well, it's pretty neat already. My friend Bill Hand and I went kayaking out there one day, and it was really, really neat. But the plans for it are jaw-droppingly spectacular. That's the kind of thing that'll put Newbern on more maps as far as a destination. I can't think of many cities that will have anything like it in the United States. There's some large lake, I think, in Cary near the airport that's like maybe something like it, a little hillier, but it's going to have like a campground, as a swimming beach, all
Yes.
kinds of things.
yes.
And there's room for it. It's really going to be an amazing thing. And I guess it was a quarry, right? And then it filled in with water over the years.
Mhm.
And now it's a freshwater lake, although it's like a spitting distance from the Neuse River.
Yep.
And I don't know, maybe one day you might want to carve a canal through and connect the two, or maybe you wouldn't. But it is really an amazing thing. If you can just Google Martin Marietta Park. There's been lots of coverage about it in the news media, even on Bern Post, about what's planned for that location. And when people say that there's nothing to do in Newbern, one, they're wrong. But when that is completed, I think there's even going to be like an entertainment venue out there, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
Amphitheater.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep, an outdoor performance area. There are trails galore out there right now. And a lot of folks have been bringing back such beautiful photos of wildlife, some of the herons and things out there. So a lot of picture taking, if you're a photographer, a lot of picture taking opportunities out there. There will be various fishing piers and docks. Yes, a swim beach with a sandy area and everything. We really encourage folks to, walk back there with your paddleboard or your kayak or whatever, and launch. We want you to. It's there's some really beautiful scenery back there and fun things to do.
Colleen, what's the timeline for it being like largely finished?
We're going to incorporate the amenities out there, understandably, in phases. So we're, in phase one, starting from the beginning, getting some of the more necessary things out there, such as restroom facilities and that sort of thing. I would say completely built out, probably 3 years or so, 3 to 5, maybe.
Wow,
I know
that's fast. That's fast.
The amphitheater is something, we would love to find a sponsor for, to maybe help offset some of those costs. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see come along and see the changes out there. We actually took the city drone out there also and kind of flew around to see what it looks like now. It's almost 900 acres. It is largely water acreage. But how cool is that going to be to see, green turn to, more piers and docks, brown, an amphitheater, other amenities, playgrounds, picnic shelters. So see all that stuff kind of come to life on that property. And I agree with you. I think it is really going to be a regional and perhaps statewide draw for people to come to Newbern. Next thing we'll be talking about is getting NCDOT to widen the roadway so we can all get to Martin Marietta Park, right?
Yeah.
So that's certainly what we hope. It's a beautiful area and it's going to be an outstanding park.
Yes, yes, indeed. I have a couple comments here. Let's
Okay.
see. Trent Aiken said to Randy Foster, hello. Bobby Waters, hey folks, good to hear you today. Jerry
Hey,
Scott,
Bob.
good conversation. Thank you, Jerry. There we go. Okay. And what else?
Yeah, I shared it on my personal wall, and I also shared it on Newburgh Post, so you may get some additional audiences, members that you don't normally get.
Oh, good. I don't know if you heard it on the radio, but the advertisement that you made, actually Mark made it, I think.
Yep.
The
Oh, yeah,
Newburgh
yeah.
Post. And
That was my
There
son Cole.
oh, Cole, that's right.
Yeah, he has he's an amazing voice talent. He was, I think 18 when he did that. And that's the one where I think it's In a World or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
in a
been while
world
since
where
I heard it.
there's, yeah. So it's the Newburgh Post and Newburgh Now, and
Yeah.
the two, we kind of complement each other as far
Yeah.
as, you report, the investigative news, and we report the fun
Yeah.
stuff. Although, I have kind of gotten into reporting on, like different things related to COVID and things that the community needs to be aware of. But mostly we try to keep things upbeat. It's hard to do in a crazy world, but we're
Yeah.
plugging away. So
I think we complement each other, and we're we're kissing cousins kind of thing.
there you go.
It's between us, we produce useful, interesting, and important information for the community, and I think between us we do a pretty good and thorough job. I've been focusing the Newburgh Post when news releases come my way. I publish them if I think it's got a community of interest. Oftentimes, Wendy, you get to it ahead of me, but we kind of duplicate each other a little bit there. But I've been focusing a lot on COVID-19, and I've been doing an almost daily report based on information that I aggregate from the County Health Department, the State Department of Health and Human Services, and other sources, just to give us a snapshot of where we stand from day to day. And I can get to it probably quicker than TV or the newspaper can, because it's just me. I get it and I post it. I don't have to go through layers of bureaucracy to get it where it needs to go. So for my 70 loyal readers and 70 loyal readers,
Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot more to say.
sometimes I got a lot
Times
more
that
than
by
that.
thousands. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of neat knowing that I'm not MacArthur said old soldiers don't never die, they just wither away or something
Fade
like
away.
that.
Yeah.
They just fade away. Yeah, I'm an old journalist, and I just kind of refuse to fade away just yet. I left the Sun Journal about 2.5 years ago, where I was the editor there, and I just wasn't ready to give it up yet. So that's why Newburgh Post kind of gives me an outlet for that. And I kind of it's a back burner thing for me, but then something comes up like Hurricane Florence or something else that I think I really need to step it up. And the neat thing is, I've got 2,300, 2,400 followers, or 23 or 2,400 likes, and then another twice that many who follow me. And they don't go away. They follow me. And if I take a week, a month, or 6 months off, when something comes up like a hurricane or a pandemic, and I start revving things back up and covering it again full time, that whole audience just suddenly comes back again. Mm-hmm. And that's an advantage that I have over say the newspaper or TV stations, is that they can't take time off. They've got to put something out every day, every hour, mm-hmm. every minute, really, to keep up with the news cycle of the day. And sometimes the content is really dynamic and interesting, and sometimes you're just trying to feed the beast. Colleen, you know that, used to be in TV.
I do. And the other thing I was going to compliment about you two is that, sometimes Newburgh stories get ignored. You know, there are whatever 14, 16 counties that, you know, the TV stations are trying to cover, you know, basically just east of Raleigh. And, you know, sometimes what's going on in our own town gets missed, understandably. And so that's what I like about your two platforms, is that, you know, you maybe can find more, not just more news, but more of that particular news. You know, they're telling stories in 30-second and 60-second increments. And so you can, you know, dive deeper into the story by catching up with you guys. And that's what I think is great. You know, Newburgh gets a platform so everybody knows what's going on in our beautiful town.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, we're both hyper local, as they call it. And nobody covers Newburgh like Newburgh Now and Newburgh Post. Nobody loves, as far as media, nobody loves Newburgh as much as Newburgh Now and Newburgh Post. And that's all we do. We don't have to figure out within a half an hour time slot on TV or something like that, what's going to get bumped off and what's going to play. And it's real simple to get things on Newburgh Post, and it's real simple to get things in Newburgh Now. If you have a news release and you think we might be interested in it, for mine, you just send it to Randy Foster at newburnpost.com. And for Wendy, how do you
You send it to info@newburnnow.com.
Yeah,
And Jerry Scott has a comment about Randy. You're leaving the Journal, Randy, was a blow to open debate and freedom of the press because of restrictions placed on you by owners. I canceled my subscription to protest. Glad to see you still awake at the wheel. Keep it up, young man. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, being able to be our own, you know, not boss, but, you know, being in charge of what the content is. You know, I don't want anyone telling me, you know, what's politically correct or whatever to publish. You know, it's on us. And if somebody says, you know, I don't like what you wrote on your, you know, get off your soapbox or something, then they need to go somewhere else because, you know, it is what it is. So anyway,
they don't have to come to my website. You know? I don't charge them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they shouldn't expect anything in return other than what I provide. Same thing with you. You know, there's a lot of things that people disagree with me on recently. So I kind of grew accustomed to that. For those of you who read the paper while I was there, I wrote a weekly column that was kind of sometimes lighthearted, sometimes not. And then I wrote weekly editorials about local issues. They were always about local issues. And they were usually, you know, local policy kind of things. I don't see so much of that anymore in the newspaper just because they don't have time for it or space. But I'm just glad that and you know, another part of it is Newburgh Live is part of it. Citizen in Newburgh and Citizen in Craven County are also covering the community and in very introspective kinds of ways. Charles Tyndall, and then City Talk with Sabrina Bangle and Lee Bettis. There's just a ton of stuff out there, maybe more now than there ever has been, between the traditional TV stations and the newspaper. There's citizen journalism taking place. And you know, I've been in journalism for over 30 years. I got my degree into it. Other than a stint in the Marines in between when I graduated from college and started with my first newspaper job, I've been a journalist my whole adult life. And Wendy, you keep saying that you're not a journalist, but you've been doing this for 13, 14 years. I'd say you're a journalist. I'd say you've earned your stripes. And you do a good job at it.
Stripes, so.
I want to call Wendy a connector. Wendy's a great connector. She is a connector of people and places and cheerleader. She's definitely a cheerleader.
Well, you're my hero, Peggy. because you connect people. I mean, from helping people organize, and get rid of so much of, their emotional baggage, physical and emotional, and then getting that donations or whatever to other people in need. That is like huge. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that that's one of the elements of the services that you provide. And if you don't know Peggy Barnes, Peggy W. Barnes is a life coach, organizer, business coach. What else, Peggy?
Overall, super nice person.
Superhero.
I'll take that. Thank you. But that's part of my heart. And as Randy said, when it's kind of what and what you enjoy doing and your passion, I'm very thankful that I've been able to turn it into my work.
Yeah. Boy, we're one lucky town.
We are.
Well, and I think as Randy said, with what's been going on, I'm very thankful to be in this town.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention a few things coming up this weekend because it is Friday Eve today. This is the Newburgh Police Department's 4th annual Peace and Unity Weekend.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
Yes, we are encouraging churches and other faith-based organizations, synagogues, temples to spread a message during an incredibly important time of peace and unity. I know a lot of congregations are not being able to meet, but a lot of them are live streaming services. And this would be a great time to spread that message and give us all some comfort when our hearts really need it. We've also encouraged those churches to let the public know they're participating by showing a message of their solidarity, such as maybe putting a sign on their church marquee announcing Peace and Unity Weekend. Some are saying if they're having small group church where they can safely social distance, maybe wear blue to signify Peace and Unity Weekend. So that's going on this weekend in our community, and we could not be more thankful for all of the relationships and partnerships that we have with faith-based organizations across this city and across the county. Also, it is blueberry season. Have you guys had any fresh blueberries here lately?
Oh, I need to go get some.
I know.
Not yet. Where do you guys get your blueberries?
Bridgeton.
That's what I was going to say, over in Bridgeton.
Yeah.
So the farmers market actually in downtown Newburgh is celebrating blueberries this weekend on June 6th. The farmers market is open every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. But you can also go pick your own or pick up some of your own at Holton's Farm on Olympia Road off Highway 55 in Bridgeton. There's also Morris Blueberry Farm where you can get some. That's also in Bridgeton, and then Nelson's, which is in Bridgeton. So I just love old crunchy fresh blueberry. And then when I get tired eating the fresh ones, you have to make blueberry muffins.
Yes, and then you freeze them. So
yes.
No, yeah.
My husband really likes blueberry pancakes, but I'm not a blueberry pancake person. I like them in other things, but not my pancakes.
Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff down at the farmers market. And let's see, what else? Oh, I'm going to give another shout out. Last week I did this. If you have a graduate from high school or college and you want to get them recognized, I'm going to call it the senior wall or something like that, where when I publish the next magazine and on also a segment on Newburgh Now, I'm going to make a little bar for 2020 graduates. So please send me their senior pictures or the graduation pictures, and I'll get them posted and include a little description of your graduate and the name. Send it to info@newburghnow.com. And it doesn't cost anything. So we really our hearts go out to the graduates. I just can't imagine not having class day or, all the different things. Not that I can barely remember those days, but
Yeah, I've got two graduating from college, one from Lawrence University in Wisconsin, and then closer to home, one graduating from East Carolina University.
wow. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah. And then
Do they want to be journalists, or
No.
where are they headed?
although one of them I think has a bug, and I think he majored in criminal justice, Noah, and then Cole is majored in music, and then he was accepted to Carnegie Mellon University in the fall for graduate school. But
That's fantastic.
because it's so much of it involves being physically present, because he plays a musical instrument, and that's a key component to it. He's probably going to hold off a semester or two to see how things go with the pandemic, and whether they're even going to hold real classes in the fall is still up in the air. But it's excited. If anything, the one, you look for positives in anything. I don't have to fly out to Wisconsin for a graduation ceremony.
That's true. Good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
Somebody posted on Facebook, a friend of mine posted on Facebook that, it has been a crazy year for the 2020 graduates. But when you think about it, at birth, their families were dealing with September 11th. And so it was just,
Wow.
when you think about what has happened in that time span, it's like, it really has been a crazy, generational thing for children born, in 2001 and graduating high school this year.
We've been at war their entire lives.
Yep.
The Great Recession occurred when they, in an age where they remember it very well.
Yep.
And now this. So.
Yeah.
All right.
That's interesting. And let's see here. I got another comment from Trent. Any thoughts of combining the local news sources to one access point? And Trent, just to let you know, Newburgh Now has a RSS feed to Bern Post, which is the most recent articles, and then Bern Post does the same thing for Newburgh Now. So I have to double check that, because we just relaunched Newburgh Now's website, but I'm pretty sure Randy, your RSS feed to the Post is on there. So if not, it will be today.
Right
So many
after this
things slip
podcast is over.
Yeah, so many things slip through the cracks when you're redesigning a website.
Oh my gosh.
There's a jillion things that'll go wrong. And
Got that right.
Well, thanks. Shout out to Jeremy Leray, Newburgh Web Design. He is the man. He is Newburgh Now's peace of mind. So
really,
give him a holler.
He's a super
He's
good
working
guy.
on mine right now.
Yay.
We're doing a
Busy.
redesign as well.
Awesome.
Or I am. Yeah.
Now is the time to redesign your website and, to revisit your business plan.
Yes. Although the shopping websites seem to be working just fine.
yes, they do.
Don't tell my husband that.
He doesn't listen to this. So
Yep. Here's $100 stylus for my iPad.
oh, you're
wow.
one of those people, huh?
Yeah.
This is my stylus.
Yeah.
This allows me to draw. I like to draw.
There you go.
Also coming up this weekend is drive-in movie night, and A Dog's Journey is showing. It's 8 to 10:30 p.m. at New Vision Ministries. So we're going back in the day to revisit drive-in movies and restart those things. It is a free event, but you do have to reserve your car spot, and you get one ticket per car. You can go visit them on Facebook. Their handle is NVMNC. So New Vision Ministries, North Carolina. So
I'm glad it's one ticket per car, because I really just don't. I can't tell you how many times I went to a drive-in movie when I was hiding in the trunk.
Yeah. were the good old days.
Now you're definitely dating yourself.
Yep. Yep.
Miss drive-in movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Plantation Square Palooza is on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2. There is puppy adoption. Oh my goodness. Music with Jim Kohler. They are really strictly enforcing social distancing. If you're going to go out there, it's on Shoreline Drive in Riverbend. There will be art vendors out there. Craven County Humane Society will be out there doing the puppy adoption. So hopefully we will maybe dodge some rain so that we can have the Plantation Square Palooza. Starts at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
Yeah, and that reminded me of Joanne Friedman's Newburgh music calendar on Facebook page. So she's starting to get the music events lined up on her Facebook page. So visit Newburgh Music Calendar. Thank you, Joanne.
Yes, she is very good at it. Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah.
And then it looks like a little bit of a modified art walk for not tomorrow, but the next Friday after that, 5 to 8 p.m. The Craven Arts Council is going to maintain their virtual galleries. They are online for those who maybe don't want to leave the house, but would still like to be able to see what is up at the gallery at the Craven Arts Council on Middle Street. So, and I'm sure there will be a lot of other outdoor features and art and entertainment for folks if you're coming to Art Walk. So it'll be nice to see things get back to some kind of normalcy, like Art Walk. I've missed Art Walk, you know?
You know, Colleen, I really love the outdoor cafe thing that's been going on the weekend downtown.
Me
And I'm hoping
too.
that carries on after all of this is through.
I think based on the success of it, we've had other, I'm glad you brought that up. What Randy is talking about is our street cafes. When coronavirus first started, we allowed for some modified parking in downtown Newburgh for restaurants so that they could have curbside pickup. Those spaces would remain empty until someone came curbside to pick up their order, since you couldn't dine in at restaurants anymore. And as we moved through the phases of slowly reopening our state, there were some discussions on how we could help restaurants recover some of that revenue. You know, we will never be able to help them get 100% of that back, but how could we help? And so this idea of street cafes came up. The Board of Aldermen had to amend the ordinance on street cafes, but essentially several blocks of downtown are closed off on Friday and Saturday nights from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. and outdoor dining is allowed. We social distance and safe distance the tables. It has been met with great success, and now we have other cities calling us and saying, hey, you know, how did you do it? You know, downtown's the only place where when you walk out of a restaurant onto the sidewalk, you're in the right of way. So you don't really have a tremendous amount of control over where you could set up an outdoor table. For restaurants who aren't downtown, we are also allowing restaurants with a significant amount of green space or parking space to bring us their site plan and tell us your vision for having a street cafe. We want to make sure there's enough emergency ingress and egress if fire or police are needed at your location. But all you have to do is share that site plan with our Development Services Office at 303 First Street, 639-7581 if you need to call them, and let them approve it. And then you can also start a street cafe. So you don't have to be a downtown restaurant. It was really funny. I heard it was either Jeff Ruggieri, our Development Services Director, or it might have been Scott Davis, our City Attorney. And they were like, you know what, you can bring in your site plan on the back of a napkin if you want to. So we can go ahead and quickly, as we got to phase 2 and you could, you know, eat, have outdoor dining again and visit restaurants, you know, we wanted to be able to help them as quickly as possible. So, but it's been so cool. The pictures are so neat. People are downtown and getting.
So you imagine if you did that along with Art Walk and Art Crawl, or did that along with Mumfest, or did that along with Very Merry Christmas.
You know what Scott mentioned was he visits Charleston quite a bit, and he said once a month they close down the streets and everybody eats in the street.
Wow.
So I really do think it's going to be one of those things that sticks around post-COVID, and I couldn't be more excited about it. I think it's awesome.
Now, is there any talk of them closing down Craven Street at all?
There is a section of Craven that's already closed from Morgan's Tavern to Pollock.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that strip was closed. So
Yes.
I gotcha.
So that allows Morgan's and Prohibition and Thai Angel to be able to serve outdoors. I don't know Thai Angel's timeline for participating in the street cafe. You did have to apply for it. Super simple application that we have on our website. So, but yes, that section of, is that the 200 block is closed on Fridays and Saturdays. So.
Yeah, they're the only restaurants on that block. So
Yeah.
It is super neat though. Aren't there plans to do something with Trash Alley? Tell me about that. What's going on with that? And tell people what Trash Alley is.
That is an area between Middle and Craven Street. It became Trash Alley because a lot of the businesses, that's where a lot of their trash receptacles are, on the backside of their businesses. But if you start at Bear Plaza, that essentially would continue as a much prettier, bricked pathway connecting Middle and Craven. Pretty landscaping, that kind of thing. If you've seen the statue to Greg Smith, there are hopes to mount it somewhere along that connector that's going to be back there. So a way to connect those two streets in a really pretty way. We've talked about how nice it would be at nighttime if it was lit, having some beautiful lighting out there, maybe even string lights during holidays and things like that. But it is certainly a partnership, and the idea of several folks, Swiss Bear and the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Newburgh, and something we definitely hope to move forward with, because we don't want it to be Trash Alley anymore. A much prettier walkway, and you could host, on Art Walk, you could host musicians along that beautiful brick lined and dimly lit, walkway, and people could enjoy taking a stroll. So I'm really looking forward to it, and especially seeing Greg out there, I think is going to be super nice. So to be continued, definitely.
Right. And what else here?
We didn't talk about camping or glamping. Wendy, do you want to talk about your glamping and camping experiences?
We didn't. Peggy, were you there when we went to the KOA with the Coastal Women's Forum? You weren't. I don't know why I thought you were there.
No, I'm not a camper. I'm not a glamper.
You're not even a glamper.
Not a glamper. You got to put me somewhere that has just got 4 walls,
air conditioning, bathroom.
I know where everything is.
Well,
I don't have any possibility of seeing any kind of critter come into my life.
Snake, bear.
No bear, no fox, no nothing. Don't mind looking at them from afar.
The Newburgh KOA, actually, they have really like luxury camping cabins, and they have running water, bathrooms, showers.
And I am in full support of anybody that loves doing it again. I'm all over that. So I will give you their name, address, and phone number.
Well, we do have some wonderful places to either go primitive camping, to RVs and cabin camping in Eastern North Carolina. And it's a great way to unwind and relax and just get your mind off the grid. They have electricity or no electricity. You can go in the middle of the Croatan and just pitch a tent. You don't need a permit or anything. Just be careful if you're having a fire. And you have Newburgh KOA in Bridgeton, Turkey Quarter Campground and RV Park in Cove City, and Green Acres Family Campground in Williamston. Now, Green Acres is really cool. They have a fishing pond. I don't know what the fish are. They're not gar, but they're really big.
Oh, wow.
Darn, what are they? I can't remember what they are, but you can put a little kayak in their little pond. They have bass. You can rent golf carts, and it's a really cool place where it's real wooded in areas, and they also have cabins and RV spots. So that's right in Williamston, off right near the 64, probably a couple of miles away from that. And it's just like a little slice of heaven. And then you also have the Cliffs of the Noose Family Campground in Seven Springs that recently opened. That's a state campground. And that's part of, they have the natural springs in that lake. So if you're really hot, it's a great place to go. You just walk in, and once you get to my height, about 5 feet, it just drops the ice water. It's natural springs, and it's just, it's awesome. So try to get outdoors and get your mind off of that. If you're into that, I'm not trying to push you. I know, Peggy, you're not into the
Just
snakes
owning my truth, Wendy. Just owning my truth.
well,
Speak your truth. Speak your
Just
truth.
speaking my truth.
well, you get your outdoor time when you go power walking in your neighborhood. So
Yes.
That is-
Listening to
that-
her motivational podcasts.
Right. Right. Get myself through it.
there you go.
That's right. All right, Wendy. It's 2:04. Do we want to keep going?
Maybe for a minute or two, because I think we got going.
Yeah, did we start a couple of minutes late, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
We do want everybody who's out there. Dominic Giorgiani joined. Hello, Dominic. So nice to have you.
Hey, Dominic.
Dominic.
Yeah, let us know if you want to be a guest on the Pod Squad, or if you have questions or suggestions. The other thing I love about Wendy is she always answers the phone. You know, that sometimes doesn't happen this day and age. But you can call with those suggestions, questions. Let us know what you have going on. We will make those announcements. We will probably even invite you onto the show, but you can reach her at 252-259-6853. You can also send her an email at info@newburnnow.com. So easy ways to keep in touch with us and share some of your information. Let's see, video and audio from our Zoom lives are on newburnnow.com. They're also on YouTube, iTunes, and wherever you listen to podcasts. So we're everywhere.
If you're looking, yeah.
That's right. If you're looking.
I really appreciate everyone for joining us, and Peggy and Randy and Colleen, you guys. It's always nice to see people. I feel like I've been living under a rock, if I don't get out of my house every couple days. But it's really good to catch up with good friends. I was gonna say old friends, but you're not old, so.
And I almost forgot, we always look at the artwork that's behind you, Wendy.
And it's the same artwork from last time.
Oh, is it? Okay, I wasn't here last week, so.
I don't know if that's art. Well, it is artwork, I guess. I got that at a old, like a junk place up in Virginia when I was living up there, and it's more appropriate for a fishing and camping lodge. And this is Allegheny State Park in Western New York. There you go. It's Quaker Lake. It's the same. My sister painted that, and it's the same as it was back when I was growing up back 40, 50 years ago. It has not changed, and it's just beautiful up there. So a little
Nostalgia.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Well,
Anyway.
two pretty things. I love that you do that. You always have something different behind you to tell us about. So.
Yeah, I totally spaced this week, but we'll have artwork next week.
Well,
So,
have y'all mentioned the thermometer? Because that's important.
thermometer.
Isn't there a thermometer? Or
Oh. Let's see what the temperature is
Huh?
here.
Now with the weather.
That's
Is-
right. Now,
it
the
is-
weather report from Wendy.
78 degrees in here. I thought I was
Oh.
having a hot flash, but I guess
That explains a lot.
like, ooh, why am I so hot? Yeah, actually, this is, I'm in my office that I tore the drywall out from the garage, meets the garage where we're flooded. And I just have not replaced that. So it doesn't have any insulation. So that's probably why it's so warm in here.
Yeah.
Maybe it was all your hot air, Wendy.
Yeah, it is my hot air. I finally got it out. So I do that once a week. So. But thank you guys for joining us. It's always great seeing you, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And
Well, thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Appreciate
Yeah.
what you do.
all right,
And don't
As
forget,
usual,
you can-
Wendy, you are awesome.
Yes, she is.
Indeed.
you
Don't-
are. You are.
Don't forget, you can listen to the show on Newburn's news talk radio station, WNOS 103.9 FM. Tune in every Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the morning and also 5 p.m. at night. And now for those words, well, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for joining us and thanks for listening. Have a great day, everybody.
Yes, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we're out. Oh, bye, Colleen.
And then